the assessment.
Where we are. All right. This is what's the assessment today? As of today, January 10th, 2021. What's us versus them? What do we have versus them? Well, they have the presidency, right? They have the Senate now. It's 50-50, but Kamala is would be the tie voting vote, and that's only if but and actually it's not as bad as possible now, because what can Mitt Romney do? I mean, he could give it over to them, big deal.
Pierre Delacour.
So yeah, Pierre Delacour. So
And
so they have the Senate. They have the House. It's by 10 or 11. But then again, that it's such a close deal that out there is the squad with their 7 members now, ready to drive a stake or throw a bucket of water on the wicked witch of the West, Nancy Pelosi. They have the Supreme Court, even though we're supposed to have 6 Republicans, actually 7. You want to count? No, it's prior. So we have it's supposed to be 6 versus 3 with good old Roberts finally declared, and he's never answered the allegations from a certain lawyer who said that asked him to come out and deny the fact that he's a pedophile. Not saying that he is a pedophile, but saying that he should deny those allegations. He never did answer that, but for whatever reason, he's completely turned over on the other side. And so it's really, as we learned for the election, it's really only 2 that we have. We have Thomas and we have Alito. The rest of them might show up if they have any guts or not. And so we don't have the Supreme Court either. So we're out of the presidency, Senate, House, and the Supreme Court. Now we got a majority of the states, but what are you going to do? Look at a state like Georgia. Georgia, this was run by the governor, by a Republican governor and a Republican Secretary of State. Now they happen to be a bunch of scumbag anti-Trumpers who didn't want to declare about it.
Rhino rats.
But we, even when we win, how do we win? And how do we know that the election was stolen? Well, Florida, the Bellwater state, Trump won by 400,000 votes, and allegedly he lost Georgia, which is right over the border. Next time you look at a map, by 11,000 votes. Come on, man! Get the hell out of here. So even when we have state governors, now we have Texas, right? We got Florida, right? We got Ohio by 8 points, right? So it's not all lost by the states. So Texas and Ohio and Florida can start doing things. But we also lost the academy. We don't have the academy. Every one of these nut jobs. And the reason why is because they're spoiled little children who've never grown up. So of course they want to do everything they can to live in a fantasized world. They're infants themselves. That's why they love Marxism. Oh, look, government will protect you. No, it won't. You can't protect yourself from reality. Okay. And so we don't have the academy. The schools, all the public schools, so the so-called reform was to give them more money, which they gave to the school unions, which they would then raise all our property taxes with. And all they do is dumb down our kids and steal their future by making them unprepared to go to the to carry on against the horror of nature. So we lost the schools. The billionaire class, of course, it's on their side. Look at Wall Street. Wall Street is now taking off. Why? Well, because all the rich people are for the handouts, for the corporate government corruption. They're all for that. And of course the tech tyrants. We don't have the tech tyrants, and now it looks bad. I mean, Trump had millions of followers, and Trump had said. He didn't, he was able. One of the secrets of Trump was he was able to talk over the heads of the thieving media. That's the last part, right? If we of course have nothing in the media. It's completely run by the Russians, aka Democrats, and the Russians, and they have complete media control. And then all they do is propaganda. Everything is twisted. So Nancy Pelosi hasn't stolen enough money yet out of this bill, and it's it's Trump delaying it for the poor people that are starving out there. Nancy Pelosi steal 900 for the COVID relief. $900 billion is what they steal. 100 billion goes to the American citizens, and it's like 180 or 100 or so billion. We'll give them $600. Trump complains about that, and it's Trump's fault that it's so low because of McConnell. Come on, man. It's everything will be twisted against Trump. So, but again. that's the lie of the left. And as we know, liars and the cowards, they're the first ones to go into the lake of fire at the end of times, right before the murderers. So it's not looking good because we lost the media. Now we've lost the tech times. And so what's the assessment about what they have? It's like, woo, not looking good for us, huh? I pity the fool. They are done. As much as we want to think that we are really, really lost a lot, let's look at what we have, okay? The number one thing that we have, right? We got the Constitution. Go ahead, hit it.
You ready?
Yep.
Hold on a second. We got the Constitution and we got...
Wait, I didn't get to that. That's the wrong one. We have the Constitution.
Oh, okay. We got the Constitution. Okay.
Yeah.
So I got that one.
Real nice, right? So you would go from that it's the Constitution hasn't done, and Madison and the boys had say back then, it's only as good. Doesn't matter what rules you pass if you're not going to abide by them. You're not a moral person. You don't have sacred honor. You're not a moral society. It doesn't matter what the rules, and that's what we're seeing really right now. We're really seeing Star Parker's line that we're going to be biblical and free, or atheist and statist, and so the Constitution, it's useless to us, this piece of paper, unless you have the people to fight it. And so, but we do have something more than that. Number one, we got God, reality, and truth. And truth's a bitch, man. Truth is a bitch. And the real secret of Donald Trump is he just spoke the truth. Just the truth. And Solzhenitsyn used to say about the Soviet Union that one person telling the truth could bring down the entire empire. Now, he didn't realize that one person wouldn't be the Pope, wouldn't be Pope John Paul, which we love, but didn't have the guts to do it. It would have to be a certain man named Ronald who would stand up and say, hey, the Soviet Union is an evil empire. And that one word, that truth, shattered that entire edifice of 70 years of torturing people and potentially destroying the world. 2 words shatter them. And so the truth is a powerful, powerful thing. So we got the truth, God, and we got reality on our side. And what else do we have? Well, we have the moral high ground. Now that we've been wronged, okay, that's the thing that we have on our side. We have discontent. The first step in any kind of action is to be discontented. Now there are a bunch of people out there who are discontented, and matter of fact, you would say they pissed off a bunch of people, and they're not just pissing off, oh, you're nice Tea Partiers, or we love the Tea Partiers, but there were a lot of upper middle class on people. They're pissing off the guys in that crowd for the rally. The guys who pee on the trees and spit their chew on the ground. There are people, James. They've pissed off the American middle class, the greatest killers in the history of mankind, who have defeated every tyrant from Hitler to the Stalin apparatchiks. Okay, so to piss them off is not a smart thing. What else do we have? We have we have, they want to call in the army. Well, if you talk to the army guys, I don't think the army guys on their side. We have the cops. Well, why would the cops be on their side? The cops, they want to defund the cops. Who else do we have? We have all the people who do things in the world, the essential workers. Why? Well, because they're the ones closest to reality. And it's one of the things we brought up in the book, Dope Utopia, of course, is the greater the divorce from reality, the more likely to believe some kind of nonsense that turns you into an idiot, and turns you into a leftist and a Russian. And so we got that on our side. Plus, what else do we have from this? We have a target-rich environment. There's nothing better, right? We have so many targets. We can pick, choose, and we can shoot. Now, the best thing that we have, besides all that, we have each other. I was talking to a dear lady, knocked on her door, and she's very upset. And I'm talking to her the other day. And I said, well, listen, You were motivated to do something. You have my name now. There's two of us. We add together a third person, and now that's three people of us. We have each other, which we have to. What's good that we got off these. They're controlled media platforms, and it's good that we work in a place like the Bliss Patriot, where where freedom is the order of the day and the order of the rules. So we have that, but there's one more thing that I want to bring out that we have. Okay, in the Battle of the Bulge, Hitler takes his best armor, sends it through the Allied armies where it's weakest, creating the Battle of the Bulge to get to Antwerp, where he can wipe the Allies off the battle again. So anyway. He's in it. He's in there. Cowardly Montgomery is off to the side, not doing anything. Eisenhower's retreated because he was a little bit of a pansy waste, and has his three divisions. It leaves our boy, our guy, Patton, ready. The only place to charge through and cut off the Bulge. Now the 101st gets the unenviable task of sitting on Bastion, which is the octopus of all the roads, and they're literally fighting, paratrooper knives against a heavy armor, right? And they're being slaughtered, right? But they're holding out. And the fancy socialists, national socialists of their day, the Nazis, show up and say, here's a surrender request, and they're using this fancy French word, and the poor American commander doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. So he sends a note back that says to them, nuts, right? Because that's perfect. That's, you have these aristocrats today who think they're so much smarter than all the rest of us because they come from fancy schools and all the rest of it. And just like them, the elites, that's exactly who the National Socialists were on that. And that's a perfect response back to them. Nuts. So anyway, so our man Patton is trying to get through. He's got 3 divisions, and he's trying to go through, and the weather's horrible. So he finds a Catholic church, gets a priest to make him a prayer, and he goes in, he takes his knees, and he says, "Sir, this is Patton." I just love that. He says, "I'm beginning to wonder on whose side you're on, because I need clear weather to save those American lives." Right? And what he didn't realize was that God has already set up the victory for him. And this is a lesson for us today. He'd already put in place the #1 tank commander of all time, a tank commander so good that Patton called him a better tank commander than even Patton, who wrote the book on tank commanders, right? This guy was only a little like a colonel then, but gets a tank named after him. He's sitting there, and he actually is got 3 towns to go through before he can relieve Bastion. And he actually goes, "Well, Patton told me to do this, but I'm going to disobey that order. I'm not going to get into this town," because his problem, of course, was whenever the Americans would run in, the Germans would come around behind them and steal what the momentum they made, and they would have to start back over again. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to roll around that town, and I'm going to level the next 2 towns. And so the next town, he goes around the first town and avoids the German trap. The second town, they just shoot at every building and knock it flat and roll through. The artillery is still falling on the third town, but the problem is, the reason why is because they can't call off the American artillery, because unfortunately the American artillery observer has been shot and killed, and I think his half track got blown up. So they just roll through. Now, this young man happened to be on Thunderbolt 6 because, of course, everything the Americans had was not as good, except for the M1 Garand, was worse than what the Germans had. They didn't go to the fancy schools. They didn't have the fancy German, the Nazi training. They didn't have the fancy German military training. They just had American guts and God at their sails. So he's riding on Thunderbolt 6, which is his Sherman tank, because Thunderbolts 1 through 5 have been shot out from underneath him. And he breaks through and he wins. Okay. And he saves the day. Now then Patton goes afterwards, and this is why I'm getting to it. Patton goes afterwards. He goes to a church and he says this great prayer. He goes, "Sir," this is Patton again, "I want to thank you because I didn't realize that you were right. And that you, by creating the bad weather, induced the Nazis to commit suicide by giving me and my boys a chance to wipe them out. And it's just a lesson in life that God is the ultimate author, and He's the better author. So to our friends across the interwebs, and our fellow Americans and patriots, it will all be okay. You and God are a majority. You, God, and Patton are a majority.
John,
And that young man's name, General Abrams, who then goes and wins the Vietnam War and gets the Abrams tank, which is a fitting that the best tank commander is the name of the best tank ever created by mankind to this day.
all right. So, do you want to tell me what we need?
For
Your quote.
what was the quote? Oh yeah. Oh wait, I forgot. The one more thing that we have over them. Go ahead.
Guns. Lots of guns.
All right.
Yes, we have. Yes, just for the facts, so that they want to know who they ticked off. The United States military has 10 million guns. The rest of the world's militaries altogether have 150 million guns. The United States citizens have 400 million guns. That's why one of the last generals and military geniuses who looked at actually invading America, Admiral Yamamoto, said, "No, it will never happen because they have more guns than more guns than any other nation, and more boats than any other navy, and there'll be a gun behind every blade of grass." Ultimately, the power is where it always is, in the American people, in the middle class, and that's what they don't have that we do have.
Hey, brother, I just want to address a question from Steph Harris. Are there going to be any consequences to the states that broke the election laws? It is beyond disgusting. It is beyond disgusting.
Yes. The consequence will be this. That's what's another thing that's going to go on is the lawsuits that get to go on. Now, one of the things that the knucklehead, that Gabriel Sterling, that anti-Trumper, said about the Trump settlement conference that they leaked illegally was that he went through, he allegedly debunked everything, like why ballots are hidden, which he didn't really debunk because there's still no good reason why ballots are being hidden under a table in Georgia, 100,000 of them. But one of the things at the very end, he said, and if Trump wants to get the ballots, we're not going to give them to him until he drops his case. No, that's not the way that works. It's called discovery, and they're going to get. So the consequence will be, number one, that fighting counterfeit on paper. It's been a business and a target of governments for the last 100 years. There's easy ways to get it once it's gotten hold of. So that will continue to proceed, and you'll see some judges, of course, do what they've done so far, which is try and put it behind them, quote, put it behind them by finding some reason to get out of court. But there are still a lot of judges with a sacred honor, and they're going to let it go forward as a regular court case. And eventually, we're going to get our hands on those ballots. In which case, that's what our earlier point would be about impeachment. Once it's even though they think that it's over, it's not really over. Now, also, the bigger thing is this: we've always had to deal with this erosion of election integrity in America. And this is the chance. The last census is going to give a wave of Republican congressmen coming in the next one. But the more importantly, it sets the gerrymandering. It sets the for the next 10 years in the individual states. It sets up the houses and their senates. And so you're going to see a swing in a lot of these states to the Republican legislatures, and the Republican legislatures are now learning their strengths and what they can do, and they can do this amazing thing, which it used to be the power of. We've now learned that judges cannot be relied upon. Well, the state legislatures themselves can set up their own. What is the judge going to do anyway? The judge is going to go, oh, we'll do this forensic audit, or we'll just do this. The state legislatures are going to be able to take back that power from the idiot courts, the useless courts, take it back into themselves, and then become the adjudicators of elections, like they are in most cases, or they have been in the past, the adjudicators of most elections. And you won't see this again, because it won't be some judge in a federal court denying a hearing in this, like they say. Trump never got kicked out of court because they never got into court to begin with. You can have these adjudications with responsible people. So there's going to be a lot of consequences that we're going to do, and that's the whole purpose. Like I said, God gives us these challenges for a really good reason, so that we can meet them and we can do something about them. Would you really want to go to the end of your life and meet God, and you had a nice coffee sitting on your biscuit?
They don't believe in God.
Well, and that's why, according to Revelations, the first two groups that go into the lake of fire, the liars and the cowards, then go the murderers. So